Hello, scholars. All right, we're talking about nervous system part two. All right, how do you respond to your environment? And we break this down into three different parts. First, we have to sense information from our environment. So, what are your senses? In elementary school, you were probably taught you had five senses, right? And you do. You've got vision. And what happens when you see things is that particles of light are striking the dendrites, right? Dendrites are part of the sensory nerves in your eye, in that retina at the back of your eye. Sends a message to the brain, analyzes the pattern of the light. That's how you see. Hearing, second sense, all right? Now, pressure waves, air pressure, as I'm talking to you right now, that's vibrating air. The air vibrations are hitting your ear, and you're sensing that pattern or fluctuation of pressure waves. Your brain processes that and turns it into something that's meaningful to you. Touch, okay? I can touch, whoosh, and I have nerves in my skin that respond to pressure changes, send signals to the brain. I can smell things. Nah, the computer doesn't have the power of smell yet, but when I smell and when I taste, there are chemicals floating through the air. Those chemicals in the air react with dendrites on sensory cells in my nose, and I can interpret those chemicals as smell. Same type of nerves are on your tongue. When you eat, okay, certain chemicals in that food react with nerves on your tongue, and I interpret all that information as taste. Okay, smell and taste very closely related senses. Are these your only senses? They're your external senses. All right, your nervous system also monitors three internal conditions. Temperature. Okay, you want to maintain a temperature of 98.6 degrees. If my temperature gets too high, it means I have an infection. That's bad. I kick in my immune system. If I get too cold, I'm going to freeze. Might die. Want to do something. Start shivering. Go look for someplace warm. So I also am going to sense my temperature. The dendrites and these nerves are going to change shape as they get warmer or colder, and that's going to send signals to the brain. You also have a sense of pain. Okay, pain is your body's way of saying, "Don't do that again." Okay, it's one of your most primitive instincts. All right, when you feel pain, to move away. When you are in pain, to stop whatever you are doing, whatever it is. Your body doesn't like it. So pain is like, "Oh, I don't know what's wrong, but this hurts. Ow! Don't do that again." Okay. Or lets you know that maybe I don't know what I did, but I'm not feeling good, so I got to stop what I'm doing and slow down for a little bit. Last, you have your sense of balance, okay? You have nerves that track where your hands and your legs and your toes and your body and your head are, even if you can't see, even if you can't hear. I can close my eyes and still know I'm twisting my head side to side. I can still know where my hand is, even though I can't see it, okay? Because I have nerves that track where my limbs go, where my head goes, and I know my body's position, even if I can't see it. You don't look at your feet when you walk, but you know they're there, and you know where your next step is. This allows an organism to get information about their environment. Why? So they can survive and hopefully someday reproduce. All right, so how do these neurons work together? Well, you got three types of neurons. First, you have your sensory neurons. As the name implies, they sense things. They are part of the peripheral nervous system, and they receive the information. And these specialized dendrites, okay, over here, there's my mouse, there's my dendrites. These are specialized, depending on what type of sensory neuron they are, whether it's taste or light or sound, and they're going to trigger impulses. Those impulses are going to go down the sensory nerve to interneurons, and those interneurons are in the central nervous system. This is your computing power, all right? This is that network of neurons that decide how to respond. Do I care about this information? Am I going to ignore this information? Am I going to move really quickly? Am I going to move really slowly? Okay? My interneurons are the decision makers. Okay? They're in the central nervous system. The motor neurons, these are down here. They come from the central nervous system, the brain, the spinal cord, and they go out to the muscles. So you can motor away, you can move. Okay? These motor neurons tell your muscles to contract. Think of your muscles as your motor. Motor neurons are the nerves that talk to the muscles and control them, tell them whether to contract or relax. Now, this is a good time to bring up the whole idea of chemical versus electrical signals. The next lesson when we talk about hormones and the endocrine system is going to be about chemical messages. But you need to understand the nervous system also has chemical messages. Okay? The message within a neuron, within this sensory neuron here is going to be electrical. When it gets to the end, it's got to cross this thing called a synapse. Okay? The gap between the nerves. And for that brief moment of time, that millisecond, the signal gets changed from electrical to chemical. And we send these little chemicals called neurotransmitters across the synapse so that you can trigger an impulse in the next nerve. Now, chemical signals came first. Electrical signals evolved later. So what we've done here is we've minimized the distance to really tiny that the chemical messages are sent. But between nerves, you still need chemicals. Within a nerve or along a nerve, the impulse is going to be electrical and move really fast. Since chemicals move slower than electrical impulses, we've minimized the distance that they need to travel, and we've made it really teeny. Okay, you might have heard of some neurotransmitters. Common ones in humans are dopamine or serotonin. And so those are the chemicals between nerves, between the sensory nerves and the interneurons. Between the interneurons and the motor neurons, you have chemical signals called neurotransmitters. Cool? All right, here's a picture if you want it a little bit bigger to draw. We're going to move on. All right, how do the nerve cells control that muscle movement? Well, it's through this idea of a feedback loop. All right, we're not going to get nitty-gritty into the details here, but overall, I want you to understand that you've got lots of systems in your body that go and get information, then they make changes, then they get more information and determine what to do next. So I'm getting information, making decisions. Getting more information, making decisions. More information, making decisions. You can have positive feedback loops or negative feedback loops. Talk about that next class. But I want you to understand the general idea here that, okay, we have a signal to move from the motor neuron to the muscle. It says, I want you to contract. The muscle's going to release some calcium ions, Ca2+. All right? Just like we talked about last lesson, ions, charged atoms, no big deal. But that's their signal. It's like, I see my signal, contract. Vroom, I contract. That's going to move my limb or my finger or my jaw or whatever muscle I'm doing. And then I need sensory nerves to say, gee, okay, I told it to move. Did it move? Did I hit anything? How far did I move? And sensory nerves, where'd my mouse go? There it is. Sensory nerves send that information back to the central nervous system. And that says, gee, should I contract again? Should I contract further? Should I stop contracting? What should I do? What should I do? I don't know what to do. The central nervous system is the one that makes the decisions, and then it sends a new message back to the muscle. How quick is this? I can send over 200 messages back and forth from my pinky toe to my brain in 1 second. That's how fast we're talking. But it's a whole team of neurons working together. I get information, pass it along to central command in the brain. Brain sends out orders. New information comes in. What do I do with this? Do I change? Do I keep going? It's a feedback loop. This is going to allow you to respond to your environment. So you've got the senses which get the information, and then you've got the motor neurons which respond to that information. Allows you to avoid predators, find food, protect your young, respond to your environment. Do you need to know all the labels in here? Not really. What I want you to understand is you step on something sharp. Ow! I pick my foot up. The nerve senses it, goes up to the spinal cord, central nervous system processes and says, oh, gee, what do I do? Well, I step down with my other leg and I move this leg up. It's a constant feedback loop. Okay, cool? All right. Things you need to know, what your senses are, the 3 types of neurons, how they work together, how the nerves control muscle movement in those feedback loops. All right, you can find some of this in section 2 of chapter 25, pages 664 to 669. Write down your questions, write down what you heard. See you in class.